Hello everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel, Chaos to Calm Budgets, my channel where I am budgeting and cash stuffing our way out of a whopping 76 grand's worth of debt. We're not there anymore, but we are making some progress, which is good. You would notice that I have a slightly different setup. I did buy myself, it wasn't a cash tray, it was actually a makeup tray that you put the eyeshadow palettes through. It was cheaper than what I could find, so, and it does the same job as any sort of cash tray and whatever. So yes, I did treat myself to a cash tray to help with this process of making our balance. What am I on about? I'm just, honestly, I need to get my brain in gear. Anyway, so this week we are just reviewing where we're up to at the end of week 3 of February. We'll balance our books. I am finding that I haven't actually spent that much this month. Well, I haven't done a lot of shopping, so remember that was week 1 and 2. I did it all in one go because I was rather behind, and then this is just this week. So if I've only got one more week and I've got nothing kind of expenditure wise going out, it'd probably be the first time in a long time, or if ever, I've managed to do a full month just on one page. So I think our kind of goals for this year so far are kind of working. We wanted a lower spend, so spending less, so to speak, and some of these expenditures are big ones, yes, but they are expected and planned for, so to speak. So here we've got our house insurance that did clear off on my credit card. And then I've also booked some excursions for our parish trip that's coming up in about 5 or 6 weeks' time. So, although they are big amounts of money, we are planning for that, and that's all. But I think the point is that I'm shopping less, which is what we wanted to do. So, having a look first at kind of where we're at, I will first tick off these weeks, and I'll review that. And we have a few more bills still to go out over here. I am slightly below on the joint account. I'm keeping an eye on it and seeing what I can do to try and make sure that we've got enough cash in the joint account for these bills to go out. We've got another couple of weeks, well, a week or two, to make sure that there'll be enough money in there. It's because when I was doing all my sums previously, I forgot to equate for a hospice lottery that we pay for every 3 months. I did write it in the book so that it would remind me to make sure that I budget for it. If that's the only sort of charity kind of donation that I make, it is something we would choose to do. It's a local hospice. We haven't had any personal experience as yet, but a lot of our friends and associates have had experience with that hospice, and they totally rely on donations. They get a little bit, I think, through kind of government funding or whatever, but to offer the experience and the care that they can. So I have no regrets making that effort. £15 every 3 months, and we might get a little bit of a win out of it. Why not? So yeah, but I didn't account for it, so we are slightly below, and I still haven't done my work expenditure either for a car parking fee. I'm a little bit embarrassed by it because it's a large car parking fee and I could have done better. So I'm hoping my boss will, because I work for local authority, I'm hoping my boss will approve it on this occasion, because it is not something that I would ordinarily have done. It was just I didn't realise, essentially. So and there were better parking options out there, but I was tight for time, needed to be somewhere within a certain time frame. So yeah, as a one-off, I'm hoping I would get that expense refunded. That being said, let's start order of business. So we're going to start with looking at the football, so the weekly spends folder. So he has had a session this week, so there'll be 25 to come out of here. I have already paid it, so is that 20? Yeah, 25. I'm just going to take that out and pop that away and tick that off, and that leaves us with 50. He's got 2 more sessions, the rest of the week, the month even, I think. Yeah, so I'll tick 1 and 2 before we get paid here on the 27th. So tick that one off. Then we will just have a look to see, took money for my daughter's guides. There's £1 left, so she did take that. We've got half term next week, so she won't have any there, and then there's 1 left there. So yeah, that all adds up there. So that's that one. Then next, I'll put that away so I know where we're going. Next we will do these spends. So there is going to be a little bit of shuffling around here, because I know already that there isn't enough funds in some pots, but there is extra in other pots. So I will need to do the IOU thing, but if you remember, I do it this way because it means my credit card gets paid, which is what we need to be focusing on. I do not want to be carrying extra on the credit card and get charged interest on it, because we are already paying interest on a couple of our credit cards that I don't want to essentially. We need to keep that down, and we're working hard to clear that. Is the main aim for this year, is to clear off those credit cards, because they are pesky and they are charging us interest that is money that we could put elsewhere. So that's that. So let's start off with food to begin with. So we've got here £8.50 plus, so Port Merion, it's a shop that was, I got a few bits for the home. Basically, it was some sales that they had on reed diffusers. So I was just out and about meeting up with a friend. We went for a walk at one of our local garden centres, and they have little sort of shops in a row down like a little shopping thing. It's very cute. I do like going for a little bit of a wander around there. But they had some reed diffusers, and they were lovely. They are lovely, and I do like to. So really, it should have come out of household, but I know that I think I'm a little bit kind of, I want to try and stop going into my household so that I can build it up, so I can get some new pots and pans. So I decided to take it out of food. So that's what I've done. We are where we are. That was a very long-winded way of explaining what that was about. We've done a food shop here of £97.09. So £105.59 to come out of the food budget, which I think does leave us in a good space for food, because what do we have left? 150, 200, 205. So I just take 105 out of there, 105, and it leaves us with 100 left for one more shop. So let's put that back. This is so much easier, isn't it, having this, rather than me faffing around and trying to figure it out from there. So yeah, £100 for one more food shop, I believe. Let me double check that for this month. I think that's in a good place to be. I'm really chuffed with that. Yeah, so I can tick. Oh no, we've got 2 more food shop. No, I'm looking at the right, that's the football. So yeah, tick that one off, and we'll tick that one off. We've got 1 more here. Excellent. And we can easily do that, I believe. So next on there is birthday. So I got an additional, from the gift company, an additional thing to add to my mother-in-law's birthday gift. So that has now cleared off on my credit card. So we'll get that paid off. Birthdays, I believe, is in the medium term. Household, beauty, clothes. Is it? Yes, birthdays here. And yes, I think there is £10 there. So we'll take that out. And what I will do, I didn't make a note, did I? I need to be making a note so that I can take them out the right pots on our Monzo. Here's my little sheet of paper. And make sure we pay the right credit card. So we've got £105 food to my Amex. And then £10 from birthdays and occasions to pay to the Amex. Amex written in one word there, that's fine. Perfect, so that goes in there. That one can be ticked off. Then subscriptions, we have had our house insurance. I did do a good shop. Make sure you are doing price comparisons. I use Compare the Market. I tend to find it's the most easiest, and if we do get there, we get like the additional kind of 2-for-1s on, I think it's birthday for cinema and meals, I think. So yeah, it's always handy having that additional thing. If you aren't using, here's a little tip for you guys, if you aren't using Compare the Market to buy any insurances with, but you want to get the Meerkat 2-for-1 cinema, buy because this was a Martin Lewis tip, and I have done it a couple of years because there was times where I think we used Direct Line directly because they're not on comparison, I think, for car insurance, but they were offering the most cheapest insurance package. So what you do is you buy I think it's an overnight, like a 2-day or 1-day or a 2-day travel trip to something like London, and you look for the cheapest. It's about £1. So £1 of that insurance, it's like a dummy insurance thing. You don't really need it, but you just buy it anyway. It costs about £1 to get the cheapest insurance package. You've purchased that for £1. You then get a year's worth of Meerkat offers of your 2-for-1 for cinema and your 2-for-1 on the meals, I think, as well. I think it's pizzas, isn't it, or something like that. So yeah, if you are going to make use of that, paying that £1 for a dummy insurance to get all of those savings throughout the year, it's a no-brainer, isn't it, really? We haven't had to do it because we have bought some insurances through Meerkat, and at the moment I bought my subscription for Odeon so that I can go with the cinema with my mom because we bought her one for Christmas. So we haven't really needed to use it, but my husband and my children may use it if they are going to go to the cinema, or we're going to go together or something like that, and we can make some use there. So I would do that if we needed to. It's a really good tip and a really good hack to have. Anyways, so house insurance, £247.15 for the year. We've paid that up front. I don't think I've got anything in my subscription folder, so what we will have to do is take from one folder to pay for that until we can build that back up again, because I do put £100 every month into subscriptions, which should cover all of our sort of insurances, subscriptions throughout the year that we pay up front. So where is subscriptions in here? Let's have a look. There. So yeah, nothing in there. So what I'm going to do is just take it out. I think I'll take it out the emergency. Have I got enough in the emergency fund? Let's have a look. What have I got in here? 170. So no, not enough in there at the moment. So it might have to come out of the holiday fund that doesn't need to be paid until much later on in the year. So that should be enough time for that to be paid back again. My son's DLA, is there enough in there? Let's have a look. Yes, there is. So I might take it from here actually. So I've got £800 in there at the moment. Oh yeah, I've also borrowed for subscriptions as well for that. So let's work this out. 800 minus the 247 and 15, 552.84. So I'll put 550 back in, and I'll write on there the subscription. In fact, what I might do is round it up to 250 just to make it all even out. So 550 left. So I'll keep the 500, put the 300 back there, and put 50 in here. So 550 to go back in, and then I'm going to add to my IOU from subs with 250 plus that 15 that's already in there. I could have done that in my head. I was being very lazy. So I'll take that there and put £265 subs. And then that can go in there. You know, you could do this if anyone wants to use my method of budgeting like this. You can just keep all of your, instead of having a pot, you could just have it in one account but as long as you've got it kind of document, maybe a spreadsheet or something like that. I quite like using the Monzo and using the different pots. It works for us, but yeah, you could do it that way and just have it all in one pot and just make sure that you are keeping a track of that. So I'm going to put £250 from DLA onto Mrs. B's credit card, because that's where it was paid from. So that's that one. Right, we have booked some trips for our Paris trip in a couple of weeks' time. We've managed to get tickets for the Louvre. I'm not very good at my pronunciation. I didn't do French at school. I did German, and I've never been back to Germany since I did the school trip. Isn't that funny? Anyways, Eiffel Tower as well. So my mum, it was a little bit of a faff, but for anybody who might be planning to do a trip to Paris, here's a couple of tips that I've learned from doing this. So you need to book a lot of these in advance, otherwise you don't get tickets. You may end up waiting in a very long queue when you're there. We did manage to get, I probably left it a little bit too late, but I've managed to get direct with the Louvre rather than through an external company, because they do charge a lot more. And I've got on the first day that we're there, but it's at sort of like 4 p.m, so it's like last thing in the day. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think they're going to be busier earlier on in the day, and hopefully it will quieten down by the time we go. I also purchased their audio guide as well. It was only €6, I think, each. So I did and go, and do we need it, do we not? And I just thought for €6 it's each, that's not gonna, it's not going to break the bank, really, is it? And it might enhance our experience. So that's what I've purchased. But that was for three tickets. My daughter was actually free for that. So that was just, we just paid the €6 for her audio, because she was under, I think it's under 18s they do there. But we had to buy for me and my mom. And so what we've done is I bought that. And then for the Eiffel Tower, again, we came to it quite late and we were really struggling with tickets. And the way around that I've done it is to get adult tickets, we had to do, because I did look externally and they were just extortionate prices as well with independent travel or excursion companies. They do charge an extortionate markup, because they put in with like a tour guide and stuff like that. And if you don't necessarily want that, why would you want to pay for that? But what we did do is they do have adult tickets at times, but with a glass of champagne mark 100. The markup they've got 100 millilitres of champagne, and it's €21 on top of the normal price. I could only get my daughter's ticket for the second level of the Eiffel Tower, because they have different levels. You could I think if you've got a standard ticket, you can go to level 1 and level 2, and you can either go on the stairs or the elevator. There was no way that my mum would manage the stairs, so we're doing the elevator, the lift, and then you get another type of ticket to get to the summit. So it would have been nice to have gone to the summit. However, on my research, it says that actually it's great views up there. However, it's very windy and you might not enjoy it as much. Well, I couldn't get my daughter's ticket to get to the summit. They only had the level 2 tickets available. So what we did was, and then to get the adult tickets, you could either get the summit or the middle one, but it was only with the glass of champagne. But that was still working out cheaper than if we were to go externally. There was no other type of tickets for the adults available, frustratingly. So it narrowed down our choices basically. But I couldn't get adult tickets with champagne plus a child ticket at the same time. So because it didn't put it as an offer. You could only get that type of ticket if I put 2 adults in. So I had to buy separately. I was worried of losing out on the junior ticket for my daughter, so I purchased that first at a particular time, because they are time thing, the certain times. Anyways, and then could I then get the adult tickets after? It kept rejecting. Wasn't going through. I rang up my credit card company and just said, is there a blockage on here, because it being externally out in Europe purchase or whatever, just checking for fraud. But no, they said no, we're not even getting any hit of a usage on there. So it was definitely with the website. I ended up having to email, I think we were trying this over 3 days. I emailed the Eiffel Tower direct on their customer service, and I just said, this is what's happening. I also did some research, and apparently it's a frequent thing. What they did say was you can't use the same card within 24 hours even after a rejected payment. So I think that's what was probably happening, was that I purchased my daughter's ticket and then I was attempting to buy the adult one on the same card, and it can only be a credit card as well. That was something else they told me, it couldn't be. So I was trying all these different cards to try and get these tickets, and of course I was getting a bit worried then as well that we'd bought my daughter's ticket and then we weren't ever going to get tickets, and my daughter was never going to go up on her own either. So in the end, what we did is we used my mum's card, my mum's details, and used her credit card. We gave it enough time as well between the time, like within more than 24 hours as well, and thankfully it did go through. So the cost of the 2 adult tickets was pretty much the same as what I paid for the Louvre as well. So what we've done is mum's covering that one, I'm covering this, and I've already bought my daughter's ticket as well. So that was a very long-winded way of explaining these purchases, but I hope that if anyone is planning a trip to Paris or anything like that, I would say get planning to save yourself some money, but also those tips around how to purchase those tickets as well. Just some kind of little nuggets of information there that you can take away with you. So I'm taking these out of the pound challenge because, as I explained in previous videos, I'm using the pound challenge to go towards kind of travel. That's, because we've got a few trips this year, and we do like to get out and about and do different things and different experiences. Life is too short. That is sort of my motto, particularly losing my dad last year unexpectedly. Within reason, we want to be able to get as much out of life as we possibly can. So that's what I'm using my pound challenge for. The pound challenge, for those who don't know, is where I am putting aside £52 on week 1, 51 on week 2, and so on and so forth as you go through the year. I am slightly ahead on it because I did get an additional little bonus from my husband's wage in January, which was really helpful. So yeah, that's what we're using it for. £84.07. I'm going to round that up to 85. So we need to take it out of the long term. And in my pound challenge at the moment, you've got 210 and 15, 215. So 215 minus 85 is 130. So if I put 130 back into here, I'll keep that 10. I'll need a 20 and 100 there, and I'll put these back into my little tray. Beautiful. 130 to go back in there. Little sheet so I don't forget. £85, £1 challenge, and that's going to go to my Amex. Please don't judge me on my handwriting. I do have atrocious handwriting. I'm just going to own it. It is what it is. It works for me. Okay, so pound challenge done. Then I treated ourselves to a bottle of champagne. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. So that might get corked at some point before we go out for our meal later on today, or I might save it for another time, but it was on offer with Aldi. So it's okay. It's not my favourite champagne. Look at me sounding very bougie around champagne, as if I'm some sort of champagne connoisseur. But yeah, I've had the fortunate experience of trying out a few other champagnes, yes, including kind of your bigger brands like your Moet and your Laurent Perrier and things like that. They are very tasty. But yeah, Aldi champagne it's fine, and it was only a tenner, so you can pay more for Prosecco, can't you, really, on that? So we'll either have it today or we'll save it for a rainy day, but I'll take it out of my fun budget, which is not that folder there. We've got left in here, we've got 100 and 20 and 30 and 35, so I'll take that 10 there, and we'll have 125, which should be enough to cover our meal out, and we also treating my mother and father-in-law and my kids to a Chinese takeaway while we are out doing that, because they're also playing taxi for us, which is very nice of them. So £10 from Fun to the Amex. There we go. So that's what we've done. Oh, I've missed MISC. So MISC is, for this, it was the £10 for that, for the tray, cash tray. My mind goes blank. And then I also purchased, if you remember on some previous videos, I got a second monitor, and it's a portable monitor, which is really handy for my work, but it's also really good for when my husband likes to play his games and I want to use the telly, because he can hook up to his PlayStation. So it was a joint purchase, but it didn't come with a case, and I'm getting more and more paranoid about transporting this to and from the office when I'm in the office. I needed a padded kind of like iPad case essentially, or something like that, to keep it safe as I'm transporting it. So I did invest in one of those, and I've decided to take it out of the miscellaneous fund, the MISC fund. £22.93, so I'll probably check around that up to 25, but I'm not entirely sure what I've got left in miscellaneous. It's not in this one, is it? No, I forget which folders all of these in. So that's in, it must be in the medium term miscellaneous. Let's have a look. Is it around the back somewhere? Yes, it is. So I might have to take some money from somewhere else. So yeah, I've only got 20. Rather than do an IOU, I might have a look to see what I might siphon from a different pot. So 20 there from miscellaneous. I'm just going to make a note of that. To the Amex. And then I need to find £5 from somewhere, which I'll have a look to see what I've got. I won't take it out of hair. How much do I have in hair, actually? Let's have a look. 10, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45 and 50. Perfect. So that will build up, because I go about every 10, 12 weeks. And then my husband and my son go every month. And then my daughter has also got an appointment coming up. So that's good to know that there's money in there ready to pay for that. So I've got nothing left in any of these, or in beauty. I perhaps have a little bit in clothing. I might take from there. Nothing left in any of those. Yeah, so it'll come out of clothing, because we don't need anything anytime soon. And we've got a nice £50 in there, but I'll take 5 and put 45 back. Yeah, let's put that, and we need 20 and 40 and 5. Lovely. And I'll take a note of that. That's there. 20 can go there. I've already made a note of that. And then £5 from the clothes to the Amex. So that's making sure that I covered that one. Then last one is household. Now this might be a borrowing from Peter to pay Paul one. So again, I treated myself. I don't know if it's treat. I took it out of household. It's a portable, is it portable? Well, a cordless new keyboard and mouse, because the ones that I had broken, they were not working properly, they were sticking, and I could have done some cleaning on it, but I did like the idea of a portable one that I could take to and from work when I go into the office as well. It's an investment piece, so we'll go with that, and they're rechargeable as well, so I didn't have to think about batteries or anything like that. So 25, and I don't think, if I went through this, there was nothing left in household on here. So I'm going to borrow, I think, from the long term. I might take from clothing again, actually. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, because I don't see us needing anything from clothes anytime soon, because we're making a conscious effort not to. So 25 out of clothing. I'm not going to owe it back. I'm just going to see how we get on. Still £20 left in there, and that can nicely build up for when we do need to do a little bit of extra top-ups on clothes. So 25 25 I took, wasn't it? So 30 I'm going to take. So I'm going to change that to 30 there from clothes. And that has covered everything, all of that. So I'm going to go away now and make sure that I take everything out of the little pots from my list there to pop into the bank account. We've squared it off. We have balanced the books. Lovely jubbly. So the only other thing is whether I want to add to my pound challenge, because I don't have anything left here. That can be crossed off. I do have some money in my Vinted pot though, and top cashback as well. I think I'm going to take from my Vinted pot, actually. I'm going to withdraw it to put into the pound challenge. I've got £47.05. Let's see what I can cover. No, it's long term. Where am I at? Because I am ahead. So 47. I'm going to do 45 to pop in there. If I make a note of that on my little pot here. So I'll put 45 from Vinted onto my £1 challenge. So let's colour that one in. Yeah, let's go for pink. Got a few pinks on here, but we'll add it in. Making really good progress on this. We are ahead because we're not this many weeks in. So that would have been January there. So we've taken right up until the end of Feb, and we've still got another week or two to go. So I'm really chuffed with that. So 45 from there, and I need to pop it into the pack, don't I, from the pound challenge. So we've got 130. So if I add that up, 130 plus the 45, 175. So 100, and I'll keep that there. There's the 25, and there is a 50. Wonderful. Really happy with that. Excellent. So there is another big travel expense, not big, but a travel expense that is coming up, because shortly after I go to Paris, or come back from Paris, my, that'll be £2.05 left in there when I've taken that out. I can cross this out because that is wiped out. And then I've still got some money in top cashback, about 210. I haven't checked recently if I've got any more to go in there, but they are slowly becoming payable out. But yes, I'm off to Switzerland for a special girls trip for me and my friend. It's more around my friend's 40th, my best friend's 40th, that was in January. However, obviously I'm turning 40 this year as well, so it's a joint kind of trip, but with a couple of her other friends are joining us as well, so that will be really good. We've paid for flights, but the hotel needs to be paid on arrival, and I think that's about £300 a head, because it's a very nice hotel, quite bougie, and so we have gone a little bit spenny on it, but I did think I would probably spend about £600 on that trip anyway, and the flights are about 300 because again we've upgraded to business class because we're very fortunate like that we can do that, making it a really, really nice special trip for the for a girly trip. Yeah, so again, I did say I've been very, very lucky this year, very, very bougie, lots of travel, but we are making sure that we cover it. We're not putting anything on credit cards or anything like that. And then obviously next year will be a big push. We will have some travel next year, but probably not as much. And there'll be a big push for clearing off the debt as well. So we've got that kind of plan as we go forward, because life is for living, isn't it, really? So we need to get that balance right. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Thank you for watching me to the end. Sorry for all the blubbing along. I hope you did get some tips and hints from some of the things that I've learned, and you find that useful. Do like, subscribe and comment. It's really helpful to A, get that feedback, and B, love having extra people on the journey with me as well, and sharing this journey. Take care everyone. Have a great week. Bye bye.